Hello and welcome to Screen Views. I'm Dave.
I'm James.
And this is the weekly podcast where we give our views on a film and TV show.
Each episode is unscripted, unedited, so anything can happen. Listeners should be aware that we do include spoilers, so feel free to fast forward, rewind, or simply buckle up and enjoy a somewhat coherent conversation.
Our podcast is based on the idea that there's no such thing as a bad movie. Therefore, for every review, we'll give a recommendation instead of a rating.
But first up, we're going to have a quick discussion about what we talked about last week to see if our opinions have changed.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Back again.
I know.
Yeah.
It's becoming like
9.
a regular occurrence.
Yeah. So
Once a week.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
It's
It's strange that we set up a weekly podcast that comes around once a week.
Well, nobody else does a weekly podcast. I think we've got a unique sort of style.
Yes,
here, so.
we've got definitely ahead of the game in that sense.
Yeah.
Nobody else has thought of doing that or reviewing films and TV. Obviously, there's no other podcasts out there that do it as well as we do, James.
Briefly mentioned.
I think that's
TV,
a factual statement.
Yeah, boom, done.
Done.
Yeah,
Move on.
There. Yeah,
move on.
So last week,
Infinity War.
Yeah, I've not seen it again.
Neither have I.
I do want to. If I see an IMAX screening that isn't 3D, I will go see it.
Yeah, I think
but I haven't really looked out for it yet.
Yeah. Because you were saying IMAX is the better format potentially.
I wouldn't normally recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, but like obviously it's the re-review, so we can't do spoilers, which we don't do in this section. So if you're worried about spoilers, because we're talking about a film from last week, we don't include spoilers in this section, so it's okay. You can carry on listening. Please don't turn off.
Yeah.
So because it was shot in IMAX, we're saying IMAX is potentially the better way to go, but not necessarily IMAX 3D.
Yeah. I just watch the YouTube trailer in IMAX, watch the YouTube trailer in standard, and you can probably see hopefully you'll be able to see why I suggest IMAX.
Yeah,
it allows you to see.
Well, it's also because it was shot in IMAX. Is that right?
Yeah, it's shot in IMAX, but also in terms of when you're looking at the screen, every single millimeter is filled with standard. But with IMAX, it's just room to breathe, and you're able to actually appreciate how big some of the characters are, and get to see the environment more. So, like, say it's called Infinity War, so in the war section of the film, which I don't think is a spoiler because it's in the title. Yeah. In the war section of the film, you get to appreciate the environment more.
Yeah, sounds good. Might try and check that out at some point. Any opinion changes? Any ideas around?
No, I'm just interested. I'm interested in the way the world has gone crazy over it. And
is that in a good way? Because I've spoken to a couple of people who are all like, "Oh no, it's not that good." A bit down on it. But is that just people trying to be different? Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's not the best. It's not my favorite Marvel film, and I'm just keep on hearing people say, "No, it's my favorite Marvel film." I think if I didn't, I don't know, if I didn't have the personality I had in my view of films, I think I could understand someone getting annoyed by saying this is a perfect Marvel movie when. Hello, welcome to Screen Views.
Hello.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. Did we ever go away?
Yeah, I know. Some of you who've just listened to our film podcast, thank you for coming. If you're just hearing this for the first time, without listening to our film podcast, feel free to listen to that afterwards. We spoke about I Feel Pretty.
Yep.
That's episode 9.
So that was the film strand.
Yep.
Now we're on the TV strand.
Yeah.
And we need to talk about what we spoke about last week.
Last week
we did Jane the Virgin.
Jane the Virgin. Okay. Oh yeah.
Have you watched it? Have you watched any more, James?
No. I've been watching 100, but I've not been watching Jane the Virgin. No, 800 words. So,
800 words. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was about to say what.
Yeah. We talked about that show yet.
What? We can't go a week without mentioning 800 words. I think that should be our challenge: is to mention 800 words for the next
year
until the next series comes out.
Yeah, if it keeps going on, then I'm going to be talking about it. Jane the Virgin. I spoke to somebody about it, and they haven't seen it either. No. They say I haven't seen it either, but they think it's meant to be a homage to Mexican what you
telenovelas.
What you were saying, and so. Yeah, so it's quite a known thing in terms of so maybe it's just not my show, and maybe
maybe not, or maybe like say when you get through a few episodes, it gets better.
Yeah,
I definitely remember that. Yeah, I love it. So nothing's changed for me here.
I think if I have time to binge a season, if I have that time aside where I can just plow through it, then maybe I'll plow through it. But like I said, it's a really difficult show because it does flip from subtitles to English speaking, and
so you can't just have it on in the background.
Yeah, and I think if I did have it in the background, I probably would have got in through a lot more of it than I have.
Yeah, but, which is maybe a good thing because it forces you to sort of concentrate, but is maybe a bad thing because it means that you just put it down for something else.
Yeah, if I'm on the fence about it, then not a good thing.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Any
Jane the Virgin?
Yeah. Any different thoughts?
No, like I say, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a great show. I think it's got a lot going for it in terms of themes, especially in relation to motherhood, sisterhood, and all the stuff that I spoke about. So I don't think there's anything that could change with this show. Season 4 hasn't, certainly I think it's consistent. I think one thing that is maybe a concern that it does in a way become a bit of a parody of itself, like a lot of comedy shows do. And so I do wonder if it will get to a point where they've kind of exhausted a lot of storylines, but they keep trying to rehash stuff. And if you get to the end of season 4, you kind of know what I mean, but I don't want to say any spoilers.
Which is, as a binge watcher on certain shows, it becomes really obvious when you let's say you watch from 2 seasons in 2 days. You start to see the repetitive structure.
Oh yeah. The form, yeah. But I don't think it does. I think it keeps things fresh, and at the moment, it hasn't for me become too formulaic. But there's one very specific things that happens right at the end of season 4 that makes me think, are we just going back over old ground here? But we'll see. See where they take it. Could be quite interesting.
Sure.
Okay.
This week we are going to be focusing on Legion.
Legion, yes.
The Fox TV show in association with Marvel.
So if you've not seen it yet and you don't want spoilers, now is a good point to go away, watch it, and then come back.
This is probably going to be a highly recommended podcast in regards to it. So if you're on the fence, my 2 cents is go watch it. Or come back listen to next week when we talk about last week's episode, and we'll just give you our general thoughts on how our discussion went. Yeah.
Or if so hopefully we could maybe convince some people to watch this. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, isn't it? To try and convince people.
I'm hoping.
I'm having podcast existential crisis.
Well, I listen to sometimes reviews. I very rarely listen to a review or discussion about a film before I've seen it. I would listen to it afterwards, thinking, okay, are they thinking the same way as me? Am I going crazy?
I'm the sort of same.
And so, hoping that's a lot of our audience. But some people.
But then we recommend it. So.
Yeah.
Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah. Well, we don't want to give a rating, and so we'd rather say.
I suppose it's more about us saying what this thing is about, like who the target audience is, what is kind of about. Is it helps us to understand the film by saying who we think it's for. So in that sense, it makes
and we all know
sense.
people that forget about all details. And it's like maybe they just want to hear about what we think of a film, thinking, okay, they think it's good, let's watch it, and then they forgot about everything that we said about.
True, and it's just our shining personalities that they want to hear what we
But if you have an issue with our format, just let us know.
Feedback always good. Okay. Legion. Where do we? Well, so how do we start with this? Is the show about mutants? Should we start with that?
Yes.
Is that already a spoiler in a sense?
No, because we know about spoilers. The reason why I'm making all these facial gestures is because I want to know how you describe this show.
Okay. So this show is about mutants. And in particular, it focuses on one central character called David, who is psychologically unsound at the start of season 1. So he's a diagnosed schizophrenic who has powers that are essentially uncontrollable. And so the show starts with him explaining how he's got to the point of talking to the people in the room that he's in with. And through that we sort of learn quite a lot in the first episode about his backstory. But essentially the show is about someone, first season particularly is about someone coping with schizophrenia, but also has superhero powers.
That's I think that's because the character of Legion is so messed up in terms of comic books. There's so many explosions on that show how corrupt, how crazy his mind is, and it's a very huge and powerful character in the comic books. And I thought this show was wonderful, and it just uses everything that is at its disposal. It uses every character. It uses the framing of the picture. It uses sound. It uses your understanding of the narrative. It purposely uses your ununderstanding of the narrative as well. It trips you up, and if you try and understand everything about this show, it doesn't work. For me, what the show relies on is you understanding the characters. And you watch them being thrown through this.
And what's interesting about this, the first season especially, I think it changes slightly in the second season so far of what we've seen so far. But in the first season, it's almost like the show itself is schizophrenic. And I really like that aspect to it. Because you really start to feel how how you can make, like you say, everything. You can combine all the tools to make your audience disjointed in relation to the show itself. And it does continue that. Like the very last episode that I've seen, it kind of like finishes at a point where like is just like halfway through a scene, and you're like, what? Like that, you can't do that. You can't like finish, but then I suppose you can, and it's like it's almost like they've learned all the rules, and then they're just gonna say, nah. Then
I remember that being a lot in the season 1. It'll just finish. I'll be like, no, you can't just finish like that, because. And the first episode feels like a film, and they just finish it quite neatly, quite nicely, and it's like an epic sort of first adventure.
I suppose that's like a pilot, isn't it? And they perhaps need to do that to get it sold, but...
So we are in the realm of superhero-ness, but if I told you the next 3 episodes doesn't have... There's no super strength, there's no like superness, it would have put you off.
Yeah.
I'm not put off by the lack of powers in this show. I'm not put off by. I'm so intrigued by the rules of this world is created.
Yeah, it's quite I suppose it's quite similar to the sort of Marvel Netflix equivalent. So this show is Fox Now TV.
Yeah.
Like so it's not the same. But it's similar in terms of like it does a lot with the budget that it's got.
Yeah.
And it's quite gritty.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more dark than some of the other light superhero stuff out there.
You talk about budget, and one of the last episodes I watched, I was watching it, and halfway through a scene, I realised how cheap this set is. I was on one set, and it was
probably the same thinking that I've had.
And it was just so cheap, and I was thinking, I've been watching this halfway through, but I'm fine with it. I'm so intrigued by what's going on in this.
Well, they do a good job. Again, I think they squeeze everything out of every set that they do as well. Like, so you think you're done with one set, but then you come back to it for a bit, and then you go off somewhere else, and then you're over to another world, and then suddenly you're like in the astral plane or something. The show doesn't. That's what I mean about it feeling like it's almost like the show itself is schizophrenic because you're jumping around all the time. But you sort of come back in and you go under and then you go over, and it is sort of it's almost like they have 4 or 5 sets and that's it. And but they get everything out of those sets and those scenes, and but it doesn't feel like repetitive. No, because they do it in such a clever way that you can like find enjoyment out of it.
You talk about repetitive. I just seen. I don't know where you are with it, but like that's you just symbolized it in a nutshell. It's no matter how repetitive you think it is, it never feels repetitive.
Yeah,
it's.
Or if you think I've seen this, something else just is in there that you're like, what was that there the last time? Oh, is this new? Is it the same? Is it not?
If next week's episode, the first 5 minutes was a replay of another episode, but then something slightly different changed at the end, I wouldn't be angry.
No, I know.
I'd be like, oh,
yeah. You're just like, oh, that's so. It's quite clever in that way.
In fact, I was watching it and my internet went, and so it just paused. And I was there for a good couple of minutes thinking, oh, they've done this for a reason. And then literally looking at a paused screen. They were like paused, they're frozen. Thinking, who's frozen them? Why are they frozen like this? What are they doing like this?
That's hilarious.
And I think that no other TV show or film would have me think this was part of the narrative.
Yeah.
But this actually,
it actually works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we reveal like what universe it's in terms of like Marvel? Because I kind of watched this and I sort of knew it was about superheroes, but as like you say, the first 4 episodes in the first series, I was like, is it? Because I didn't know. I was like, is this a superhero thing? Is it not a superhero thing? Do I know?
I feel like it's a very respectful homage to. We can reveal it because I think a very respectful homage to the X-Men universe. It clearly isn't. Yeah. Because of you don't know where it's set. Well, because you feel like you know where it's set. You feel like you know when it's set. But what it sort of does, and not very obviously, it sort of messes with your perception of when this is set, because there'll be stuff from like the 70s, stuff from the 80s, stuff from the 90s, stuff from
this is what
the future, and it's.
Yeah, I'm sure I was arguing with Rach about this because, like, for me, it's and I can't remember which side of the argument I was on, but there's a lot of 70s sort of aesthetic to it, and I was sort of comparing it to Wes Anderson, and I was sort of saying, well, it's got that Wes Anderson vibe in it. Not because it's like quirky or whatever. It's the vibe is that it's clearly nostalgic to the 70s as an era. Yeah. But it's not clearly set in the 70s. Like, you don't actually know what place in time it is.
Yeah.
And for me, you get that in a Wes Anderson film a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you sort of assume that it's modern day, but then because the aesthetic is all so like 70s, you just like, you're not sure. But it doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, but when you said Wes Anderson, I literally just thought you meant like into like when somebody's allowed to talk and they are talking, they are given the full attention. And Wes Anderson has a good way of like when someone's saying something, it'll just be them. Listen to me. This is me. Listen to my words.
Yeah.
And I felt like this is very good in terms of like when someone's saying something, listen to them. Every single character, even though the story has a main character, every single character is important in their own story. And I feel like that's really good into Wes Anderson. It's full of lots of little stories. Yeah, you have the main story. However, no, this person has his own narrative. This person has his own narrative.
Yeah, like you say, all the characters have an important role to play.
And and I'm fascinated by all the characters in this film, and the fact that they always seem to have like, even though there'll be some episodes like more on one character than the other, I'm really fascinated about each character in this movie and getting to know more. Like the two Kerrys, I want to know. I love seeing them on screen. You've got the mind reader, who we're not really gone into much, but I still like him. And
who's the mind reader? The memories guy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I just oh my god, every single character, and even the portrayal of evil within this show, it's just done in such a charismatic and fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
villains should be fun, but
but they like twist it up and and make it, so some points it's like a horror, some points it's very psychological, so at the end of the first season, you sort of, the big reveal comes and it's good and it plays out, and then you've got all the like periphery characters that are just so well sort of delivered, like Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords.
Yes.
He's not in it that much, but when he is, it's so good, and you're like, and this is great.
It's like they've given him the camera. It's like, I don't know what to say. But it's like what I was saying with Red Lantern, when he's just owning all the scenes he's in. Yeah. And it's just beautiful to watch. It really is.
Yeah. And then the girl from Parks and Rec as well.
That's it.
Who plays? Is it Lenny?
No. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
She's very good as well.
Very good.
Audrey Plaza.
Yeah.
I mean, just everybody in it actually is really good.
I heard they didn't want to bring her back.
Oh, really?
I heard they weren't sure. Like, they were only going to be like a minor role, and then I'm so glad that she's
although they sort of, it's interesting to think where she's
well, you can sort of understand like why they might have gone in that direction, but I know and she's also allowed to play so many different types of characters within this one show, and did
you know much about the guy Dan Stevens, the guy who plays David?
Stevens, he used to be in Downton Abbey, and then he lost a lot of weight, and he went in like this kooky indie movie called The Guest, which I loved. A lot of people loved it, but I loved it. And then he was in
Beauty and the Beast.
And then
which makes me kind of want to see that, because he's so good in this. He's really, really good.
So good.
As a main character, and not like you sort of believe him, and he doesn't play it in an annoying. I think the main character could be very, very annoying in this, or very, very bland. And I think they've done a good job.
I think it's his progression as well, because in each episode he's evolving, and I do love the relationship between him and Sid, his love interest, and I've only just really appreciated it in the second season. In the first season, I did appreciate it because she was just given such amazing dialogue, and in the second season, I do love the way, and I really appreciate what they see in each other. I really appreciate what they both get out of a relationship.
Yeah,
and they both sort of need each other. And if they're both very broken people.
Yeah,
and they both see their insecurities and accept them and absorb them.
Yeah, and it's interesting the whole time and place and space and that they sort of play around with in relation to those characters in the first series, but also the fact that the show gets you to question the reality of the whole show itself. Like, so, we were talking about, well, we don't know what time it is. Yeah. It's like we don't even know if that time is real. Yeah. We don't even know if the world that they live in, is real. And, so it's like interesting when you get certain episodes and you think, oh, have we snapped back into reality now? Or are we further into David's mind? And it's so clever. It's really well done.
They also keep stuff in their back pocket, and because something's brought up in one episode doesn't mean the next episode is going to be fully about it. So David is schizophrenic and sometimes has different personalities, and that's only hinted on, and they haven't really gone into that that much in the second season. I know they're going to go into it, but they haven't really gone into quite a lot of stuff they bring up. They haven't gone in.
Are you going by what's in the comics? Do you mean?
In the comics, he's got literally loads of split personalities.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah, the comics are crazy. Yeah. In the TV show, they've hinted on split personalities near the end of the first season, but they haven't gone in. They haven't opened. There hasn't been an episode about this personality, this personality, this personality, this personality.
Yeah. So. What do you think about the introduction of is it John Hamm as the voiceover person?
Is John Hamm in the second
series? Yeah. So you have those weird
have been the rest of the show is great, but I have loved the introductions. I've loved them because I hope they're factual, and I hope they're actually there's something to them because they sound factual.
Yeah, they're certainly believable, aren't they?
Yeah. And it's sort of
and you think, that's made so much sense. Yeah.
But then it's really difficult to actually judge what it means for the actual episode.
But I think that's I think that's John's John Hamm.
Yeah, the Mad Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his voice is so believable. It's almost like he could tell you anything and you believe it to be true, just because he's got one of those kind of confident, reassuring.
I'd love to be an actress or an actor in one of them opening monologues. It really is. It's a beautiful piece. It's a piece of art before the show starts.
Yeah.
And
when it just sort of sets up the episode as well, isn't it?
There's only one episode I've seen that doesn't have that, but I remember loving the start of the episode. It's episode 4, chapter 12.
Right.
I think. Yeah, I think it's chapter 12, and it's just I think it's a shame we don't have that. But what I've got instead is still just as good. But I have noticed them, and I've noticed how much I enjoy them. Yeah. I quite happily watch one of them intros and repeat it and watch it again.
Yeah, well, there's they cram so much in, and you're like, what have I just seen? Is this? Yeah, this is amazing. So the creator, Noah Hawley. Yeah. Do you know him at all? No.
I said yes so confidently.
Well, he's the only thing that I could pick out, he's done quite a lot, and I think he's produced quite a lot. But he's done some writing for the Fargo, the new Fargo series.
That makes sense.
So and you're like, well, that kind of makes sense. No?
Yeah, this is
really good.
I can't believe it hasn't felt too confusing. It hasn't felt too. They've sort of it's like it's a cocktail of it's a whirlwind adventure. Any episode, even if it has I don't know. I can't believe I'm not put off by any episode yet, and I've enjoyed every episode, and like
Well, one thing I don't like is having to wait a week for the next episode.
Yeah.
And that's partly because, like I say, you'll be watching an episode and suddenly it will end, like, in the middle of a scene, and you're like, well, what?
But then
I can't wait till next week.
We'll start completely differently.
Yeah, and it won't...
How will this tie up? I don't know.
Yeah. So... so you don't, in a sense, you don't, like, have to watch it. You don't have to binge watch it, but...
There's also...
I want to binge watch it.
The music, when it ends, and the music goes in there, it's like a mic drop. It's sort of like, that's all you're getting for now. And it's like, I can't describe... You'll know when you see an ending like this. It'll just, like, mic drop you and, like, literally, like, swear at you. It's like, yeah, that's all you're getting. You want some more? Like, you have to wait till next week, fellas. Or women, like, everyone.
You know what show is also like that, I think? Game of Thrones.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
We're going to change that, James. When the new series comes out, you're going to have to watch it because we're going to review it on this podcast.
I don't mind about spoilers. I've been spoiled by everything else.
You've been spoiled by it, but I think
not experienced it.
So what we can do is experience it through your eyes as somebody who has been spoiled but is watching the first series, and then I can talk about the last series. Yeah. And
anyway. If I like something, I'll just binge it all.
Okay. We'll see. Yeah. In some ways, like, you're in a really good position because what you can do is, like, binge it, so you're ready for the.
It's the last season.
It's coming up. Okay. The second half of I think it's the last one this summer. Anyway, sorry, we're talking about Legion, not my favourite TV show of all time.
Well, Legion might be up there with my favourite TV show of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Because, like I say, I also love the way it's so beautifully shot. It understands its budget, and so when it looks crap, it's like that on purpose. And when it looks good, it looks so good. And, like, what does it mean when they change the aspect ratio? What are they trying to create from this? And, like, what does it mean when they start using this music? What does it mean when they... It just has me... I'm so intrigued with the characters, so intrigued with the storyline, so intrigued with the sound design, so intrigued with the visuals. This is a cocktail of intrigueness for me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I think they do an amazing job with this show. Like, to... Yeah,
and every single person in the show does work, and also it's also the titles and how they put the dialogue in the scene. It won't. Sometimes it'll just be normal text on the screen, but sometimes they'll incorporate the text within, like, the environment. Like like
that's
Fox
really clever. Yeah.
I think you don't need to do that. And I just watched the end of the most recent episode, and the ending titles are just in there for no reason, and they're in a really kooky place.
What's with the Hulk hands as well?
Hulk hands.
What is that about?
What, Hulk hands?
That's what, like, this has been bothering me. I thought you'd have all the answers in terms of, it ties in with the X-Men world in this sense and that sense, and I haven't, so I'm guessing that it kind of doesn't tie in with X-Men.
It does, yeah, and you've seen a big sort of nod to it.
Yeah, but we don't know what time and place it. When you say big nod, what?
When he's talking about where David comes from, and who his father is.
Right. Okay.
Do you know?
No. Should I not know?
No,
is it better to know or better to not know?
Well, they've hinted at it, and it's obvious.
Is it a massive spoiler for everyone?
Well, Legion is a comic book character. I could tell you, and then...
Well, yeah, so he's a comic book character that... How is he... So he's part of the X-Men world.
Yes.
But he's not an X-Men or man.
No, because
or X-person.
He's too powerful and he's too crazy.
Okay.
And so... I could tell you who his dad is. They say it in the show. Well, they say it in the stuff so beautiful. They hint at it very strongly.
Right.
And so when they talk about his father,
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But they show the ex-wheelchair.
Oh.
His father is the other greatest mutant in the world, which is Charles Xavier, the leader of the X-Men.
Right.
Which sort of makes sense that
that's
his son is sort of like...
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
And I knew his father was, you know...
So they keep
quite powerful.
They keep referring to his father now.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like... So now you have to think, well, that's Charles.
Yeah, so that sort of means that this isn't taking place in the 70s. So it's got to be like...
Well, Charles was still a young man in the 70s. And...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's also... but like I say, it's a homage to that world, and that... They haven't, like... It's not like Marvel. Marvel's great the way they tie it all together. It's all neat and tight.
Oh,
but I kind of like the way this is sort
like
of loosey-goosey and...
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's with the Hulk hands?
Hulk hands?
So, like, whenever they're on the top of the building in the second series...
Yeah.
You know, there's headquarters,
yeah,
skyscraper, it's quite high up.
Mm.
In the background, there's these big floating Hulk hands that are like pointing. Like sometimes they're pointing up, sometimes they're pointing to a side.
I didn't even see that.
You need it.
I need to watch it again.
And I'm like, what's with the Hulk hands?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure. I could look into that. Yeah, no idea. Sorry.
Okay, so shall we move on to a recommendation, James?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Dan Stevens, and I greatly recommend this show for anyone who loves the comic books, Marvel comic books, and you know the character Legion. I greatly recommend for anyone who likes the Marvel series and how they've approached comic book characters in a slightly different way on Netflix. Because this is certainly it's a different sort of it's a very different sort of show. But if you respect the way Marvel Netflix have taken their characters,
so if you like
respect this one,
so if you like Daredevil. Luke Cage, all of those, Jessica Jones, season 1.
Yeah.
And Iron Fist. Is that all of them? The Defenders?
Yeah.
All of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like those, you'll like this.
Yeah.
Because it's in a very similar...
It's
slightly, possibly better, maybe?
For me, yes, a lot better. It doesn't have any big action sequences, and it doesn't have any sequences. There are episodes which are like just jam packed with so much goes on. There's no like obvious sequences in my mind. Like there'll be if you look back, you think, oh, there's a dance sequence. There's a couple of dance sequences, but they're really like, oh, that fight sequence and that sequence. And this is a film. This is a show which for me, is good from start to finish. It's very consistent with how inconsistent it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that doesn't make sense at all. Unless
you watch it, and then it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. You can be sure that you'll be unsure about the show. It's, like I say, the most important thing is that you fall in love with the characters. And if you're watching, you'll like the characters. That's the most important thing. Don't worry about getting to grips with everything that's going on. If you're someone that needs to know everything and needs to know exactly how everything works, and you need that really fine detail, this show may not be for you.
Yeah, because you may never find out what the Hulk hands are about.
Yeah. So... you may never see them, and someone else may say they were there, and then you have to go back and watch it.
And then you go, they're not actually there, and then you go, what?
Yeah,
no, mind blown. Damn. I'm sure they were there.
Although, if they released 2 versions of the episode, that wouldn't surprise me. If you saw one version,
well, that's what this show is so great, isn't it? That, like, you know, you just don't know what is real or what's not.
We've not discussed it, but there's a show called Black Lightning on Netflix, another superhero show.
Oh, right.
And the same actor who's the villain in Black Lightning plays like a monk character in season 2 of this show, and And with Black Lightning, it really pulls its punches into you don't really know who this character is. You really get to know who this character is. And the same with this sort of show. But this show does it so much better.
Yeah.
I greatly recommend this to. If someone needs to know every single detail, it's not for them. For everybody else, give it a go. I can understand if someone says, I can't get my head around this show.
Yeah.
Fully understand someone.
And
if you try and reject it, that's fine.
But that's the thing about it. That's okay. You can I watch it. I let quite a lot of stuff wash over me. Like, I didn't, I didn't even know that it was X-Men for about 4 episodes because I couldn't remember. I knew it was about superhero. I was like, but, you can, again, enjoy the show if you're not that into superheroes. So, again, if you want something that can bridge that gap between pleasing someone who really likes superhero films and TV and somebody who doesn't, you can maybe come together, watch this, and it'll work because it is a superhero show, but then for long periods it's not a superhero show. So
it's a supernatural show with hints of superhero in this. Yeah.
And maybe some fantasy in there as well. Yeah. And maybe science fiction.
Is it fantasy?
And then it is very sort of blends a lot of stuff.
Yeah. There's some beautiful imagery in it. And when it knows it has a budget, it does it. It doesn't try and hide anything. I know. It's just so clever, this show. And it's so honest to the audience. It never pretends it's something it's not. Yeah,
and it utilises everything within its power to get the maximum results, and every person who's worked on this show should be sort of rewarded in that sense, I think. And definitely
I'm so glad they got a second season. Because this could be just a cult show. Got 1 season, no one really saw it, and then we're just picking up like 5 years later on. Thinking, oh my god, this show was so good. Why didn't anyone like it?
Yeah,
I'm so glad that people have liked it enough to pick it up.
But it's so it's interesting that because I always assume that stuff that I'm watching is what everybody else is watching, but it's not always the case, is it? So,
no, Legion. I don't know that many people who watch it.
No, right.
Yeah, I'm the one getting them into it.
Yeah.
No one really. I wasn't sold by the trailers. I wasn't sold by anything.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed Dan Stevens as an actor, and so I just watched it because he was in it, and it was such a good investment.
Yeah, I mean, I only started watching it because my friend Matt, he said, "Oh, I think because we were talking about the Punisher on the podcast, he was like, oh, if you like the gritty Marvel stuff, check out Legion." So that connection was there, and it works.
It's highly recommended. And watch the first episode, and you know if you can. The first episode has to be the most difficult to get through because it's just a mashup of lots of stuff. And if you get through the first episode and you like it, then by all carry on, go through it, power through it, and enjoy it. If you don't enjoy the second episode at all, then maybe that's then the show not for you.
Yeah.
But I, as someone who loves the show, I'm so glad I continued. I was sold by the first episode, but I'm so glad I didn't stop.
It's definitely worth tracking down, isn't it? Trying to.
But it's also
get a hold of it.
Now you can binge the first season. That's good because the cliffhangers in each episode.
Yeah, like I say, I'm getting slightly annoyed that I can't binge the second series. I know that shouldn't be a thing because we're in that binge generation, and there's debates as to whether that's a good thing or not. But I mean personally, I love binging stuff. So that's the only thing that I'm annoyed about is that I can't get through more of this show as quick as I want to.
It's not even a cliffhanger in terms of someone's got a gun, they're about to be shot, and oh my god, what's going to happen? It's more like you've just introduced a new chapter and you're not even going to go through with it. It's like you can't just end there. You just introduced me to something new. And something completely new and something completely different has happened.
Or it's taken a different turn.
Yeah.
You're I want to see where that path goes. I want to see what that path has to show me. Like,
and I feel like it's the cliffhanger and also the opening to the next episode, and that's when they cut it off.
Yeah.
And
and then the opening of the next episode isn't where you left off.
Yeah.
Like you say, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree with you in the sense that if you're someone who likes to know every single thing that's going on at every single point, and you like to be guided through all the sort of twists and turns, the show is not for you.
Yeah.
But
if you like characters,
yeah,
there are plenty to get attached to.
Yeah.
And some characters which you don't really... It'll really surprise you because there'll be a character which you'll make a judgment on the first episode. And now I'm in the second season, I have a completely different view of that character. It's kind of cool the way they do that and the way
they keep things fresh throughout as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So, top recommendations for us.
Yep. And then we need to...
Next week?
Yeah, next week. What are we... Well, I suppose we've got... I think it's going to have to be Lost in Space. Yeah.
I was doing a spaceship movement with my hand then.
I know sort of Westworld's lingering in the wings. Westworld in the West Wing.
How many series
waiting
of
to come
Westworld has there been?
It's on the second season's just starting.
Okay, good.
So I think there's only like one, maybe two, maybe three episodes. But it's when it's similar to Legion. There's not that many episodes of the second season out. Have you not seen the first season?
No.
Okay. Well, I think let's do Lost in Space next week, and then the week after we'll do Westworld.
I've seen all Lost in Space.
No, I've seen one episode so far. And so I'll need to try and get through a few more. I'm not sure if I'll get through the whole of all the episodes. How many episodes are there in there?
I think it's like 10.
Yeah,
I think if you get through 4, I think we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, because it's Netflix. I think I was expecting more than 10, but you never know with Netflix. There's some really good stuff.
It's nice. There's like the whole scope of the story.
Right.
Yeah, I think they got it just right.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Because I'll try and get through as much as I can by next week, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So I suppose Lost in Space, it's Netflix.
Yep.
And it's kind of like about a family lost in space.
Yeah.
That's probably all you need to know. Yeah. And it's based on a book. Is that right? It's been a book. I think it's been 2 films.
It's been a TV show.
It was a TV show, wasn't it? And then a film with Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah.
So I saw the old film, and all I can remember about that film is that Matt LeBlanc,
the monkey,
got lost in space.
Yeah, yeah. It's I remember loving the film growing up. I'm not sure if I'm going to love it now. I never watched the TV show.
I can't remember anything about it other than those 2 things. So, I've seen the first episode. I'm interested to see where they take it, and then obviously I can't. I think before seeing the first episode, I was quite. It looked like Netflix had like put a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
And they were like advertising it at the cinema. So, I was so I think it must have quite a big budget behind it, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Maybe we should find out details. But yeah, I wanna see where it goes. And I'm trying to hold back.
Yeah.
Because obviously I've seen a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So so tune in for next week to hear what we have to say about Lost in Space. Obviously, if you follow the film strand, then check that out as well. We're going to be looking at Deadpool 2, not Death Bath 3. What did you call it?
I think it's
Death Pond.
Death Pond, yeah.
Death Pond 2.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see Death Pond 2. We're going to see Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
I feel like Death Pond would be that
cheap DVDs that try to trick old people like
into watching. See, that's better than what I was going to say. I was going to say I bet that would be the name of some lame, when they do a spoof superhero, not another superhero film. I was going to say that that would be anyway, we're going to see the actual Deadpool.
Yeah.
We're going to watch Lost in Space. We're going to have fun doing those and talking about them next week.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything else to say, so we just
Enjoy
need to wrap it up.
And
do all the social media plug
Facebook,
social
Twitter,
media now.
You got Facebook, you got YouTube. Leave us a comment if you want to leave us a comment. Happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
And and we'll look forward to next week, and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Cheers.
Bye.